Well, I thought I was turning the camera rotating around, but I actually turned it off. So you're going to get two shows this morning. Uh, St. Constance just now, and now me freshly back from NotaCon. NotaCon 14. And I did a bunch of shows from NotaCon 14. Also, I did what is known as Lunch with Lon. And that's when everybody all get together in the big ballroom and has lunch together. And after everybody is through burping and stuff, I give a little talk. And my talk this year was somebody was recording it on their phone, and complete with my slides and everything. And hopefully I'm going to get the file for that and share it here on Facebook. And I hope my friends who are doing all my Facebook things and converting them to YouTube, I would hope very much for that to happen too. So anyway, I'm back safe and sound, and I brought a couple of, well, when I got home, on my, what arrived while I was gone was this book, okay, Lion of Light, Robert Anton Wilson on Aleister Crowley. How cool does that sound? And look at that beautiful, beautiful cover. And here's the back cover information and everything else. And that cover is by Richard Rassa. And I think it's probably one of the best book covers I've seen, Crowley magical related stuff ever. So congratulations, Richard Rassa. It's edited by Mike Gather. Here's what it says. The Eclectic Collection presents a series of articles outlining Robert Anton Wilson's unique perspective on the notorious scoundrel and mystic Aleister Crowley, the man, the mage in his life's work. The centerpiece, Do What Thou Wilt, recently liberated from the archival depths of Harvard University. That's the center lecture in this. Do What Thou Wilt. Just finally got out of the archives of Harvard University, is published here for the first time in this unique, until recently unknown manuscript. Wilson examines the contrasts of pragmatic and theoretical revelations of Crowley's system, Thelema, with various other contemporaneous scientific research into expanded consciousness. So lots of Timothy Leary and things like that. Okay. Lion of Light is fleshed out with an introduction and foreword by Lon Milo DuQuette. And the foreword is by Richard Kaczynski. Richard and I were with each other this weekend. Along with 4 additional pieces by seasoned explorers that shed the light on the relationship of these two masters, Wilson and Crowley. And those other little essays are fabulous, by Oz Fritz and Greg Arnott and R. Michael Johnson. So anyway, what do I say here? Do What Thou Wilt should be the whole of the law. Like many of my generation, I was steeped to magical maturity in the technicolor broth stirred by the holy trinity of Alan Watts, Timothy Leary, and Robert Anton Wilson. But when the subject is Aleister Crowley, I cannot possibly imagine a more informed, brilliant, and insightful commentator than Robert Anton Wilson. Okay, I had the honor, the pleasure of knowing Bob. And here's what Richard Kaczynski says. Two of the 20th century's most provocative thinkers, Robert Anton Wilson and Aleister Crowley, meet in this career-spanning collection of Wilson's essays on magic and thelema. RAW and AC go together like peanut butter and shrooms. Richard Kaczynski, author of Perdurabo and the Wiser, Concise Guide to Aleister Crowley. Anyway, it's, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, Hilaritas Press, okay, but it's available right now all over the place, and I highly recommend it. Even if I wasn't saying a few words in it, I would be recommending this very highly. Okay. I don't know, even if you were at Noticon and heard my speech or attended some of the incredibly wonderful lectures. There's the one that I attended by my good friend Terry, who did one on the prayers to the elementals, which was a much broader examination of the dynamics of the elementals. But anyway, it occurred to me that much of what he said was reminiscent of not so much the elementals, fire, water, air, and earth, but here, like my hat, the three alchemical elements. And the idea that the mechanics of what the three alchemical elements do in the universe, or do at their particular level of consciousness, is similarly described in the Hindu concept of the three gunas, and the sattvas, tamas, and rajas. So mercury would be sattvas, and salt would be tamas, and sulfur would be rajas. So the idea in Hindu cosmology is that it's the job of the gunas to revolve. The gunas spin, just like in the tarot card, the Wheel of Fortune has the Sphinx and Hermanubis and Typhon that are just perfectly representative of the gunas also, and the dynamics of it, the gunas spinning, set forth an early phase of the creational story, okay, because past a higher frequency of consciousness than that of the gunas spinning is almost tantamount to the transcendence of the above the abyss level of consciousness, which is really up there. So you could almost say that in Sephira number 4, Hesed, which is associated with Jupiter. And remember, Jupiter was not the king of he was king of the gods as we know it, but there were three forces responsible for Jupiter's existence. Jupiter thought he was God because he looked around and he was in an environment, a lower frequency environment, where it didn't seem like anybody else was running the show. I must be God, because I don't, in my frequency of manifest reality, he was the top dog, and he didn't realize that there was a pre-existence, and three aspects to that pre-existence that were responsible for giving his birth, Saturn and things like that. So I just wanted to share briefly as I close here today, because I've rambled on long enough plugging that other great book. At the very beginning of Crowley's Rite of Jupiter, the three main characters are the Sphinx, Sol, the Hermanubis, Mercury, and Typhon, Sulfur. He doesn't identify them as, I threw that in. And in the middle of that wheel, that is the stage. In the middle, surrounded by the Sphinx and Hermanubis and Typhon, is Centrum in Centri Trigono, or, depending on how you like to pronounce Latin, Centrum in Centri Trigono. One in the middle of three. And they all start out knocking, knock. CICT knocks. And then the Sphinx knocks, and Hermanubis knocks, and Typhon knocks. And Typhon opens up and says, "Hail unto thee, thou great god Hermanubis. Art thou not the messenger?" Messengers, Mercury. "Art thou not the messenger of Jupiter?" And Hermanubis answers, "Hail unto thee, thou great god Typhon. Art thou not the executor of his vengeance?" Sulfur. Typhon answers back, "Brother Hermanubis, what is the hour?" Hermanubis, "Noon." "Brother Typhon, what is the place?" Typhon answers, "The summit of Mount Olympus. See, we're getting ready to give birth to Jupiter here, or we're dealing with Jupiter, and he's the Olympian king god. "Brother Hermanubis, what is thy position?" Hermanubis, "Upon the rim of the wheel." "And thine?" Typhon, "Upon the rim of the wheel." And Hermanubis says, "Let's seek the center of the wheel." Now, if they would hit that center of the wheel, they would pass beyond, they would elevate beyond the realm of the spinning gunas. So let's seek the center, because the center is unmoved and within, okay? So they, along with the Sphinx, who hasn't said anything, but she has been there, rise and walk faster and faster around the rim, returning exhausted to their places. And when this is actually mounted in front of an audience and everything else, it's usually a very comical and light-hearted moment. And they're all pooped out, and Typhon says, "Brother Hermanubis, we are no nearer to the center of the wheel." And Hermanubis agrees, "We are no nearer the center of the wheel." And Typhon says, "Hast thou no message from the gods?" And Hermanubis says, "None, brother." "Let us seek an oracle from the gods." And that's the Sphinx. So they get up and they go around the rim of the wheel, and they stop and they kneel down in front of the Sphinx, who until this point has just been silent, but looking so fucking cool, okay? In her greenish robe and her sword. She's awesome. Okay. And Hermanubis says, Hail unto thee that hast the secret of Jupiter. Declare unto us, we beseech thee, the mystery whereby we may approach the center of the wheel. Now, when Crowley originally mounted this ritual, the Sphinx was played by Leila Waddell, the virtuosic violinist, and she played what sounded to be, and I'm not sure, it says serenade or serenade, Dridla, and I'm not familiar with that piece. When we did it, we would use, for riddling, sarcastic music, we used Prokofiev's from Romeo and Juliet, Montagues and Capulets, dee 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 bomb dee 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 dee, and it's okay. The kind of music is important because the Typhon and Hermanubis like certain kind of music and hate the other kind. Okay, so that's the point. So Sphinx plays this riddling, sarcastic music, and Typhon doesn't like that intellectual, freaky, mental kind of stuff, and he goes to his place on the wheel in terror. But Hermanubis goes to his place and goes, crank it up, man. Okay. He goes to his place in wonderment. And the Sphinx finally talks, and this is what she says. Neither by sloth nor by activity may even my secret be attained. Neither by emotion nor by reason may even I be understood. How then should ye come to the center of the wheel? And that's that smooth, unmoved point, that motionless point in the midst of the swirling rim of the wheel, that motionless, silent center. Then Hermanubis says, Mother of mystery, what is thy position on Olympus? And the Sphinx says, on the rim of the wheel, just like you guys. And then he's been sitting in the center of the wheel all along, CICT, in Centrum in Trigono, in Centri Trigono, which is Jupiter himself, okay? He opens his mouth and he says this: feeling, thought, and ecstasy are but the cerements of me. Thrown off like planets from the sun, ye are but satellites of the one. But should your revolution stop, ye would inevitably drop headlong into the central soul, and all the parts become the whole. Sloth and activity in peace. When will ye learn that ye must cease? So, in other words, he's telling the gunas, you're not going to get any higher than this spinning world until that dynamics is transcended. And Typhon kind of gets it, but he asks, well, how should I cease from lethargy? And Hermanubis says, how should I quench activity? And the Sphinx says, how shall I give up ecstasy? And CICT asks, what shines upon your forehead? And they all answer together, the eye within the triangle. And then CICT says, well, what burns upon your breasts? And all together they say, the rosy cross. And then CICT says, brethren of the rosy cross, aspirants to the silver star, not until these are ended can ye come to the center of the wheel. And the these that he's talking about are lethargy, activity, and ecstasy. Sloth, activity, and peace. Salt, sulfur, mercury. And then he stands and says this poem. When the chill of earth black-breasted is uplifted at the glance of the red sun million-crested, and the forest blossoms dance with the light that stirs and lusters of the dawn, and with the bloom of the wind's cheek as it clusters from the hidden valley's gloom, then I walk in woodland spaces, musing on the solemn waves of the immemorial places, shut behind the starry rays of the east and all its splendor, of the west and all its peace. And the stubborn light grows tender, and the hard sounds hush and cease. In the wheel of heaven revolving, mysteries of death and birth, in the womb of time dissolving, shape anew a heaven and earth, ever changing, ever growing, ever dwindling, ever dear, ever worth the passion glowing to distill a doubtful tear. These are with me, these are of me, these approve me, these obey. Choose me, move me, fear me, love me, master of the night and day. These are real, these illusion. I am of them, false or frail, true or lasting. All is fusion in the spirit's shadow veil. Till the knowledge lotus flowering hides the world beneath its stem, neither I nor God life showering find a counterpart in them. As a spirit in a vision shows a countenance of fear, laughs the looker to derision, only comes to disappear. Gods and mortals, mind and matter, in the glowing bud dissever. Vein from vein they rend and shatter, and are nothingness forever. In the blessed, the enlightened, perfect eyes, these visions pass. Pass and cease. Poor shadows frightened leave no stain upon the glass. One last stroke, O heart-free master, one last certain calm of will, and the maker of disaster shall be stricken and grow still. Burn thou to the core of matter, to the spirit's utmost flame, consciousness and sense to shatter, ruin sight in form and name. Shatter lake reflected spectre, lake rise up in mist to sun, sun dissolve in showers of nectar, and the master's work is done. Nectar, perfume gently stealing, masterful and sweet and strong, cleanse the world with light of healing in the ancient house of wrong. Free a million mortals on the wheel of being tossed. Open wide the mystic portal and be altogether lost. Okay. Okay, that's it for the Parking Lot Tuesday. I'm still a little punchy from the long weekend in Denver. I would like to thank Rose Lyon, the master of 418 Oasis here in Sacramento. I arranged to fly there and back on the same flight anyway, and she was my caretaker and got me on the plane early and things like that. You know, it helps to have gray hair and a nurse with you when you travel. But anyway, thank you, Rose, and other people from 418 Oasis were there too, and we all got to see each other, and but I saw so many friends, old dear friends that I haven't seen in many years. It was a cosmic moment. Okay, it was like one of those things where you have to pinch yourself and say, I think I'm dead, and these are all the people that are here in heaven or hell with me. And it's so good to see them. Anyway, that's it for today. Until tomorrow, when I'll probably be at my desk, hopefully. Continue to be good to yourself. Be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law. Love under will.